What is going on, guys and girls? How you doing today? Single roleplay here once again, guys, and today I want to show you the build that actually failed. And this was my attempt to recreate the original SELFCAST Dark Pact using the Marauder and more specifically the Juggernaut ascendancy that people used widely in the Harbinger League a long time ago. The original build was using kind of right as far as Berserker with the legacy Vaal Pacr, Warlord's mark and all the juicy stuff to outreach in all the problems of the Dark Pact, because Dark Pact uses your maximum life and sacrifices 6% of your maximum life to deal damage if you're actually self-casting it on yourself. So originally the build mitigated this with enormous regen, with Vaal Pacr and all that stuff, but after the nerf to the Dark Pact, to the Vaal Pacr, to the to everything else, to the Warlord's mark, it practically went to the abyss, and no one really played it. And I wanted to check, like, after the recent buffs to the Dark Pact spells and the cluster jewels, is it really worth self-casting it on yourself as the Marauder? So the short answer is no, because there are a lot of problems. The first problem probably is the mana cost, because there is no Warlord's mark, you can't leech mana on his spells anymore, so this is tied to the fucking mana flask, and using mana flask is just terrible for any kind of casting, especially such an enormously fast cast speed spell as the Dark Pact. This is just terrible, feels really clunky, really bad. Another problem is the Dark Pact itself, since it sacrifices 6% of your life, and the more life you have, practically the more damage you deal to yourself. So it's with the capped leech, you can leech like maybe 0.5 chaos damage on the amulet. You can't really out leech the damage even with all the enduring charges that you get in the Juggernaut. So it becomes really sketchy, especially if you are taking a lot of hits. And yeah, sustaining both Rider's Fire and the and casting Dark Pact at the same time under some heavy bombardment of the attacks is really hard, and it really hurts, and it really doesn't feel tanky at all. I really struggled with surviving with the Delirium. I died quite a lot, so I didn't feel this build tanky even on the massive amount of enemy charges that the Juggernaut has. So it feels pretty bad. And the last thing is the damage. The damage is still not there, unfortunately. There's like barely over 1 million of DPS, even with the withered stacks and all that fancy shit. So the damage is just not there. It's enough for killing the trash. As you can see, this is like tier 14 waterways, I think. This is level 80 map, so I'm quite comfortably farming this content, no big deal. But the single target is absolutely atrocious, especially after the buffs to the boss life and all that shit, to the awakenings and all that things. The bosses have a shit ton of life defenses and resistances and all that stuff. Bosses just take absolutely enormous amount of time, and unless you are going and having like 4 million DPS with some Berserker or Assassin with a ton of power charges and dual wielding void batteries, it's not really worth on the Juggernaut, definitely, because the damage is just not there. And yes, I know there is a build which was presented by FastF Gaming, where he showcased that he's running Assassin with 2 dual wield void batteries, and he has quite a lot of damage there. But keep in mind, guys, this is a very specific setup. This is like super GG gear there, very high DPS and very squishy too. It just is meant to be looking as it is impressive, but in reality this is what you get. The damage is pretty bad, and unless you are doing very specific setups and specifically going very low life, because Vaal Pacr sacrifices maximum percent of your life to deal damage, unless you maintain very low life and out leeching this amount of damage the Dark Pact does to you, kind of out leeching, out heating the life that you lose, then it will work for you, but only to a very little extent, because eventually you will still die. Overall, I do not recommend playing Dark Pact unless something changes, unless they will add more damage or more sustain to it. I don't know, guys. So far it doesn't look impressive at all. And even though the build functions, unfortunately, I cannot recommend it to play unless you are a geek or want to really like try something like this. So that's it. Hey guys, again, this is the path of building for the Dark Pact Jag, and keep in mind there will be no real build guide for that. It's just a very brief information just in case you're interested to see what the build looks like inside. So this is the actual setup that I use. Void battery, obviously, because you know there's practically no other one that can compete with the void battery if you are looking for the spells, looking for the crits, looking for the power charges specifically. So this is very, very important. If you can, I do not recommend going dual void batteries because you know you gotta be like more defensive. You can always go more damage, but getting more defense I think is also very important, especially considering that the build is not really that crazy tanky, assuming even if it's a jug. The offhand is the shield, which is just a life crit chance for spells and chaos. All chaos spell skill gems with resistance. I also crafted double damage here. Helmet is the Dark Pact conk effect minion damage. The biggest change since the Harbinger probably is that Dark Pact got the minion tag, and so it's a minion skill actually and can be used in the helm with conk effect and minion damage. That's pretty nice. The other crafts is basically just resists, and also if you can also craft aspect of the spider if there is a spot over here. The body armor is Calm's Heart, just pure life, because you know Dark Pact sacrifices a portion of your life to deal damage. And the gloves are pretty much nothing, just life and double res. The boots are life, res, and endurance charges because we are jugs and we're running 9 endurance charges here. The amulet is dex, life, and chaos damage leech's life. This is pretty much the mandatory thing. This is the hunter one that I have here. If you can get the marble amulet, this is good. The rings are 2 comms ways. I got comms way the zealotry increase effect and the zealotry itself. That's why I'm saving myself a skill gem and I have zealotry on comms way. I'm really smart. The Stygian's Bite is not specifically just giving me dexterity and some life and resist. Dex I'm getting on the belt. The Abyssal Jewel is just chaos damage to spells, life, and some cast speed. The Flask of which I brew during mana because you know it's impossible to survive without the enduring mana, as well as the Diamond Flask, Karui, and the Bottle Faith. And now speaking about the cluster jewels, this is probably the most interesting part of the build because this is where the actual changes begin. The large one is the large one gives me a touch of cruelty, unspeakable gifts, and unwearingly evil. Touch of cruelty is chaos skills have 10% chance to hinder enemies on hit. Sorry, someone's going to buy some shit. Fuck it. And basically enemies hindered by me take 10% increased chaos damage. Increased chaos damage is basically an increased chaos damage. This is a big thing. Unspeakable gifts is the exploding chance, but this is just 10% chance to explode. Keep in mind that this is not a guaranteed explode. And the last one is just pure chaos damage and interruption from stuns. You can be interrupted by the stuns if you are casting chaos skill. This is also a pretty big thing, especially if you are not like stun immune like the occultist. The mediums are 2 of them. Actually 1. I got this megalomaniac for about 7x. This is the most expensive megalomaniac I've ever bought, specifically for this build, which is Wrapped in Flame, increased burning damage, regen, Molten's 1 mark, which gives me plus max fire res and regen, as well as Fist of Flash, which gives me increased max life. This is pretty huge. And the small one which I use is the basically just pure might. Once again, Pretty Fire has reduced mana reservation, and we'll be using Pretty Fire here. As you can see, the skills are Wither, Totem, pretty much standard. Dark Pact Helm with a Dark Pact Awaken Void Manipulation, Peacock, and Spell Echo. Peacock here, just because we can't really get power charges in any other way. Unfortunately, we are not, you know, assassins, so the only way to get power charges is to actually use Peacock. I haven't found any other way how to get power charges actually, so this is pretty much the only way. Of course, there will be better something like Arcane Search, for example, will be better, but you know, Peacock is important here. This is Rider's Fire, Valoref, increased duration and efficacy. Cast damage taken in model called Purity of Fire. This is where our Purity of Fire is, and this is with this thing we free up, with Pure Might will free up a little bit more mana to cast Dark Pact. And basically this is Zealotry from my Calm's Way. And this is, wait a minute, that's, yeah, I think that's, oh, that's the double one, sorry, that's the old one. So yeah, this is the casting ratio, 2 free links, 4 links, and basically it. There's also an optional shield charge if you like don't like lightning warp. I have 4 link lightning warp here with very fast lightning warp actually. You know what, after playing lightning warp for a while, I really want to try lightning warp actually, because it's really sick. I want to come up with some lightning warp build, but for now this is like kind of 2 mobility options here. One is lightning warp with awakened swift affliction, less duration, faster casting. Another one is the shield charge, which is basically just shield charge, fortify and faster attacks with inspiration charge if you really want to get it. So that's about it, guys. Nothing really spectacular over here. The Watcher's Eye is this double Zealotry which I bought. I think I might be selling it. I don't see reason to use it because the build is kind of not working as intended. I might also be selling the Might of the Meeks, and the tree is pretty much a standard spellcaster, just trying to get this cluster jewel wheel as well as the power charges here and there, as well as all life and all the enderun charges that I can get. There's really nothing spectacular with that, and overall, see, the damage is not really crazy, I would say. Wait a minute, where the hell is the damage? Well, I broke something. Okay, anyway, so the damage is about 1 million with the withered stack, so it's not really spectacular. And unless you're playing assassin with like 10 meters of gear with a shit ton of power charges and going low life, I don't think you can really cast a Dark Pact on yourself and stay alive on any build. So that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and unfortunately, like I said, there will be no like forum build guide for that because the project kind of failed. It kind of works. I mean, you can do like, you know, red tiers with that. The bosses take forever, and you will obviously not be doing any endgame with that. But if you want to experiment, maybe you can pull something more out of this build, and especially in good faith, maybe I will return to the build later when they buff it in some way. Maybe something else will change, I don't know. So I'll be saving the build for posterity, and I'll return it back later, maybe a couple of years later, to see how will it change and will it be viable once again. So thanks for watching, guys and girls, and see you soon.